during the long years of his reign, he was able to defeat all foes of his realm. All except one.
If you are as old as the mountains or you just love retro games, this video is definitely for you. Today, I want to talk about Gothic I and why I consider it to be one of the best RPGs ever created. I'll break down a few points from a game designer's perspective, but most of what you'll hear will be my completely subjective opinion as a player and as one who loves RPGs. But before we start, greetings, stranger. My name is Katie. I'm a narrative game designer, a fantasy writer. So here we talk about fantasy, games, books, and if you like any of these topics, genres, stuff, you're welcome here. Let me remind you what Gothic actually is about. And if you've never heard about this universe, don't worry, here's like a quick disclaimer rundown. Gothic I is an RPG released by Piranha in 2001. Fun fact, it was one of the very first RPGs with fully voiced dialects. And in 2001 that was a huge deal, and it made a sort of the impact on the industry. And the story takes place on the island of Carinas inside a penal colony located in the unfamous Valley of Mines. And the entire area is sealed under a magical barrier created by the fire mages, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, everything inside the barrier has gone horribly wrong. So, you play as the nameless hero, who gets thrown into the colony and immediately decides that escaping is priority number one for him. And as the story unfolds, we discover that we're not just some random prisoner, we of course, we're the chosen one. Gothic holds a very special place in my heart, and I'm pretty sure this game shaped a huge chunk of my gaming taste, because Gothic's atmosphere is so unique and so complete that even almost 30 years later, with modern graphics and massive maps and brand new RPGs, animations and blah 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 releasing every year, it still mesmerizes me. And it's like you want to spend hours there, even though, let's be honest, it's not overflowing with side quests or content in the modern sense. I first saw this game about 25 years ago. So I was actually, too young to play this game when it was just released. So it was my father who played it, and my uncle and my cousin, a lot of them. So I remember sitting next to my father, seeing him playing, and I was very into the plot. I didn't understand everything completely. Of course, I was 6, 7 years old. So, but it was so entertaining for me just to watch how he plays, and he actually replayed it many times, because he played each camp, which I'm gonna tell you about camps a bit later. So he played every camp at least once, but I think he replayed this game 10 times if I'm not mistaken. I still also remember how I was terrified of the orcs, especially late at night when you're running through the wilderness without a torch and suddenly hear this sound of ooh cha cha cha. Oh. And well, if you know, you know. Personally, I play Gothic 2 more, so if you want a video on Gothic 2 as well, just let me know. And about a year ago, I finally decided to replay Gothic 1 after decades, and as a game designer, I wanted to compare my childhood memories with my adult experience and break down its mechanics, some points, and to understand why it's so cool. And I was pleasantly surprised, because that same excitement, the same curiosity, the same magic in the whole story, it came back. And of course, there are things I'd love to improve today. Maybe some mods already fixed them. I don't know, I've never played mods. Let's break down what makes Gothic an absolute classic that it's I think everybody need to experience. Gothic is cool in many ways, especially for a game from 2001. Take the combat system, for example. By today's standards, it might look a bit stiff, but back then, I'm pretty sure it was surprisingly advanced, and you start the game as a complete newbie. Zero fighting experience, zero technique, and the game actually shows that in the animations, the nameless hero swings like he's holding a sword for the first time in his life, and his movements are clumsy, but then you invest into combat skills and learn new stances, and the animation evolves. Your swings become cleaner, smoother. I don't know, but it's just a small detail, that you actually do not pay attention, but That's what I love. Another detail I absolutely love is the early attempt at reactive AI. Nothing like mind-blowing by today's standards, but for its time it was like pretty impressive. If you watch enemy behavior closely, you will notice they are just like they're not just mindless zombie waiting to be hit, like standing there, but less aggressive creatures will warn you first. They will growl, hiss, or puff to make themselves like look threatening, and basically telling you like to back off. More aggressive monsters won't hesitate. They will stalk toward you, close the distance, and then launch at you with a jump attack. And that's cool. Just like a small thing, but these little behaviors make the world feel alive. You feel like you are intruding into their territory, not just like, walking through a scripted map. Gothic's world doesn't revolve around you. You just exist in it, and that's what part of its magic, in my opinion. The level up system in Gothic is honestly one of my favorite features, and it's something that gives the game a very distinct personality. Yes, you have your standard RPG stats like strength, dexterity, mana, sneaking, pickpocketing, even acrobatics, plus some expected combat skills like one-handed, two-handed, crossbow, bow. You do not just pump points into whatever you want through like this UI menu. There is like no instant mastery because you have enough XP. Instead, Gothic makes you actually learn skills from real people in the world. If you want to become stronger or improve your swordsmanship, you need to find a trainer, an NPC who specializes in that skill, and they teach you in exchange for like some learning points, gold, or whatever. And the great part is that you are not stuck with a single mentor. Each camp has its own set of trainers, so depending on who you side with or where you are in the story, you'll naturally meet different specialists, and that's cool. It creates like this feeling that skills are knowledge passed down from people who lived through the world to your character. And because you're not meant to learn everything, every upgrade feels like a meaningful choice. This system forces you to think about your build and plan ahead and engage with NPCs, which is exactly what a good RPG should encourage you. One of the core things that makes Gothic so engaging is how the game handles exploration. The world itself doesn't invite you to explore, it forces you to it. You start out weak, broke, under-equipped, and basically at the mercy of everything that has teeth. So, because you lack resources, Gothic naturally pushes you to search for better gear, hidden loot, safer paths, and opportunities to gain an advantage. So you're always looking for plants, weapons, different caves, shortcuts, anything to help you to survive. And the game also encourages you to approach quests creatively. Sometimes brute force is impossible, so you look for alternative solutions like sneaking around enemies, distracting NPCs, finding hidden entrances, or play waiting for the right moment. Gothic rewards curiosity. If you see a cave, your brain automatically goes like, there must be something in there. And then there is the moral side of exploration as well. The world is full of poorly protected hearts, especially in the old camp. The game doesn't tell you what's right or wrong, and there is no morality meter, no this red or blue choice. You simply decide should you steal from those poor guys? Minus or not, to survive or to gain some privilege and stuff. So this gray morality makes the world feel real. People react to your actions, and you learn quickly that everyone is simply trying to survive, including you. The story of Gothic is actually quite simple, but the way it is presented is incredibly immersive. I mean, how many games do you remember that literally start with someone punching you in the face? That sets the tone immediately, welcome to the colony, pa! No one cares who you are, and good luck. The plot and the world are genuinely dark. In today's RPGs, landscape, fully grim world are surprisingly rare. Maybe something similar you could find in Divinity 2, but Gothic 1 is like a dark fantasy classic, I would say, before the dark fantasy became trendy. And yes, technically you are the chosen one, but the world absolutely doesn't treat you like that one, and that's what I like. And it's quite the opposite, actually. Everyone reminds you that you are nothing and nobody. You have no status, no influence, no friends, at least at the very beginning. People bully you, ignore you, and occasionally beat you up just because they can. Even Diego, who appears as your mentor and is probably one of the kindest characters in the game, makes it clear from the very beginning, like he's not your babysitter. He's not here to protect you. You're on your own. All of this creates a powerful collision with reality, where survival is the only thing that matters and every person around you has their own agenda. This grounded, brutal narrative is one of the main reasons Gothic feels so authentic. One of the Gothic's greatest strengths is its world building. It's a believable ecosystem made up of three very distant factions. The Old Camp is the most official of the three. They control the ore, trade with the outside world, they have the strongest military power, and they try to maintain order, well, in their own version of the order. Their motivation is simple: to protect the status, keep the king happy, and enjoy the privileges that come with being the biggest camp in the valley. The new camp is basically a rebel camp. They don't trust the old camp, they don't trust the mages, and they believe the only way out is by blasting the barrier with raw magic. The entire society revolves around independence and a very loose version of freedom. And number three is the Brotherhood of the Sleeper. So they're like fanatics. They live in a swamp and they smoke weed. So it is both, I would say, a bit creepy personally for me. It's a bit creepy, at the same time hilarious faction, because Gothic has its own sense of humor, very peculiar and interesting one. And I think like the Brotherhood of the Sleeper is sort of this very sarcastic line of narration. At least that's what I noticed when I was going there. And the Brotherhood of the Sleeper, they worship this mysterious god, they say, a mysterious creature, spoiler alert, a demon, that actually wants to destroy everything alive. The beautiful thing is, each group has logical motivations, clear ideologies, and internal conflicts. You're not just picking a good or bad faction, you're choosing which worldview you want to survive in. And now let's talk about Gothic's level design, because it is like very special. The map isn't huge by modern standards, but it's crafted with insane attention to details, hidden pathways and stuff. Different biomes also blended in there, like forests, swamps, mines, rivers, cliffs. Everything feels like hand-placed and believable. If there is one disadvantage, it's the lack of teleportation or shortcut, like waypoints, because like running back and forth across the entire map can be really tiring. But at least you'll never forget where everything is, I suppose. I love Gothic with all my heart, but there are some stuff that, by nowadays standards, makes this game a bit impossible to play, or at least very hard to play. I really got butthurt instantly because of several things. So let's break them down. So the first is high entry barrier. The game does not explain itself well. You are thrown into the brutal world without no guidance, no tutorial, and no mercy. And it's like you have to investigate everything by yourself, like how to fight, how to pick up objects. For example, it took me, I remember, like 10 or 15 minutes just to figure out which buttons to use in order to pick up some, I don't remember what was this, like something, some plant or whatever. And it was the very beginning of the game. By modern standard, it's not user-friendly at all. So you must be prepared to it. Also, let's see how they're going to manage this stuff in the remaster of Gothic 1, which I am waiting a lot. Another thing is inventory, because inventory also is quite interesting. Let's call it like this, because it's like you have two bars on your left and on your right, and it's not very comfortable. At least it took me really a lot of time to get used to this, because I am more into those like classical UI window where you can just like open it and see whatever you have, and not just like a line of objects that you also cannot actually place where you want. I mean, for me it was very hard, honestly, to deal with. Another stuff that I personally did not like is that the story itself is beautiful. I love it, and the quests are generally interesting, but also it has its own stuff where you have to go from point A to point B, then again to point A to point B. And it's like you are just like, it's a typical fetch quest there where it's like you have to bring one thing to another character, and from that character you need to bring another thing to. So, I mean, and it's like you're running around the map. And I feel that if we had sort of waypoints in Gothic 1, the game might be a bit shorter, honestly, because it's like you spend a lot of time on running around the map here and there, back and forth, and that can be really tiring because it's like it's okay when you are just like enter the game and you want to see different corners of the map to explore it, but when it is just like you're running literally from old camp to new camp, from new camp to the swamp, it can be tiring. Though I remember now that you also have a sort of teleportation runes, but this is something that I might be mistaken, but you do not receive in the very beginning. I think it appeared in chapter 3. Correct me. I don't remember. I played it a year ago, the last time. So, it's like something that I would like to have from the very start, or at least not from the very beginning, but like it won't take too much time. But also, what I like in the quest in Gothic, it's like this is a hard world, okay, where everybody wants to survive. At the same time, even if you want to play as a good guy, you don't want to be that very criminal, you don't want to be rogue or something. Sometimes you have to do some questionable stuff to beat somebody's, for example. And I really like this because in many times, if you do not use creativity in order to solve the quest, you will most likely pay some gold, or it's like you will not receive some benefits that you could receive when approaching this quest creatively. At least that's something that I got when playing the game. I think there are so many memes even in YouTube about Gothic 1 bugs, but that's true because these are like small things, but I got instantly traumatized because I had to really, I became paranoid, literally, because sometimes the bug is so crucial that you get stuck in the textures and you cannot do anything. You're just stuck there and you have to reload your game. And if you like saved your game 5 hours ago, well, sorry, you'll have to do a lot of stuff because there is also no auto saving, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, the bugs really make you save your game constantly. And you become paranoid because you're like, oh my god, okay, if I go there, will there be a bug or something? And well, but okay, let's be honest, this is a game from 2001. That's okay. This is a classic. There are also a lot of mods that I'm pretty sure they correct that stuff. So to wrap things up, Gothic 1 is one of those rare games that managed to stay memorable decades after its release. Despite all its rough edges, like clunky controls, intimidating difficulty curve, bugs, and the interface, it delivers something that many modern RPGs still struggle with: atmosphere, personality, and a world that feels truly alive. So Gothic is rough, it's raw sometimes, and it's still unforgettable. You're just a guy thrown into a violent, desperate world trying to survive. Now that we are all waiting for the remake of Gothic 1, I have my doubts, I have my fears, because like Gothic 1 atmosphere is pretty unique. It is unique because of the story itself, because of the combination, I would say, the story, the mechanics, the lore. That is something that at least I rarely can find in modern RPGs. As I said, I think in this video, the same feeling, at least something like this, I got when playing Divinity 2, because it has its own humor. The world is alive and you feel it and you believe it. And in a lot of modern RPGs, though I love RPGs, I love modern RPGs a lot, they are like pretty the same. They're pretty standard. They're very good. Everything. They have a perfect level design, perfect animation, perfect plot, mechanics, combat system, everything really good. But they really resemble each other. Gothic 1 has its own tone. So let's hope that in Gothic 1 Remake, we will see this. I have my fingers crossed that we will see. I hope I will be able to play soon because I'm waiting for this game for how long? I don't remember. 3 years probably. So let's see. And yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching this video. And if you like it, please put like, comment, share your thoughts on Gothic 1, on Remake maybe. If you also would like to see some video on Gothic 2, I will be happy to make it for you.